Hello, everybody. I'm Josip Maricevic, CTO and technical co-founder of Tolar, and today I'm going to introduce you to our new platform. So Tolar is not just another cryptocurrency, but a completely new platform with the following characteristics. It's scalable because it was designed to run up to 200,000 transactions per second, and that throughput remains constant no matter what amount of nodes participate in consensus. It's fair because no single individual can decide the order of transactions, as is currently the case in many of the proof-of-work-based currencies, where miners get to choose what transactions they will pick from the pool and in which order. It's fast because event is being propagated through the network as soon as it happens, instead of waiting for the next block to be confirmed. And of course, it's secure due to the power of distributed ledger algorithms. So all of you know that blockchain-based solutions at its current form have a huge scalability problem. You probably remember last year when newspapers started writing about Bitcoin, mempool shoot up to over 100 megabytes. You had to pay around $40 in fees if you wanted to make sure your transaction will get included in the next block. Transactions were waiting in days for general. Or even better example, CryptoKitties, virtual cat trading game that literally brought Ethereum network down to its knees the week it came out. Now, there are some proposed solutions, but some of them, like Segwit, are just buying more time, and the other ones are still in its infancy. That's why we decided to go the third way and change how the core consensus algorithm works. And that's how we ended up with something we now call hashnet. So hashnet is not just another optimization or improvement upon existing blockchain, but rather a completely new substitute to blockchain. We decided to keep all the positive properties, the things that we think people actually started using this technology, like decentralization, transparency, anonymity, but at the same time solve the problem of scalability and energy consumption. Now, we're really limited on time here, so we don't have enough time to go into all the details, but let me just briefly cover the concepts that make this possible. So first, in blockchain, you basically have a single linked list. You can increase the block sizes, you can shorten the amount of time between blocks, but that only increases throughput linearly. What we're doing here is making a structure more similar to directed acyclic graph, where we write down not only the information about the event itself, but also the way that event is propagated through the network. Having all that information, we can do something we call virtual voting. That means that we can calculate some of the votes of the other nodes without having to actually wait for them, as if we were running some of the classic Byzantine agreement protocols at that time. And the third improvement is in the information spreading itself, where we're using a variant of reduced redundancy Gaussian protocol, which makes sure that every message gets to relate to each node only once, thus increasing bandwidth usage and the speed of propagation up to 24%. Now, here we have some concrete numbers. First, there is Bitcoin with 3 to 4 transactions per second before Segwit. Now it's 7. Then Tangle, technology behind IOTA. It can now do around 500 transactions per second, but it has some other problems. And our biggest competitor, Hashgraph, it has similar throughput, but their algorithms are patented, and they said that they will never release it as an open source. Of course, as we talked about the energy efficiency, we decided to go proof-of-stake way, because looking at some current research, Bitcoin is currently using more energy than 159 countries in the world. And that is just Bitcoin, not even talking about Ethereum, Zcash, and so on. So it's clear to everybody that this is simply unsustainable in the long terms. Also, having such a big system requires responsible governance. If you've been watching Hedera Hashgraph, you know that they're given out 39 nodes, with all the decision power to 39 companies of their own choosing. We want to give that power to the people that actually use the network. So that's why any node in the network can submit tender from one of the following categories. And then the Tolar's Magnus Concilium, or the Big Council, which is comprised of master nodes, votes on it. If qualified majority votes some tender in, then that tender is implemented. And a little bit about the future of Tolar. So after we achieve the wanted throughput, we plan to deploy Ethereum virtual machine on top of it. So this gives us also a chance that for all the Solidity developers, and that is an ecosystem that is already big and growing more, to easily write their smart contracts on top of Tolar. And not only that, but port the existing applications that already have an audience but have problems with throughput to our platform. And of course, the buzzword, quantum cryptography. Now, some of you say that the quantum computers are just around the corner. Some say that it will take 2-3 years. Some say it's 10 years, but everybody agrees that it's coming. So in order to make this future-proof, we're replacing classic elliptic curve digital signatures with lattice-based cryptography. And now, some about this from the user's point of view. So everybody started from the famous Satoshi white paper and the Bitcoin implementation, which was originally used just for the simple transactions. Then Vitalik came along and gave us the possibility of running smart contracts on top of it. That gave birth to what we call now maybe blockchain 3.0, where there is a bunch of platforms, applications, contracts, and so on the top of that platform, but some of them are having problems because the technology behind it has not yet matured. And now, the next step in evolution is obviously the blockchain 4.0, where all those solutions that are developed, designed, and so on, will have the technology below it mature enough for it to be worldwide adopted. Okay, so let me paraphrase Investopedia. What exactly is tragedy of commons? It means that when multiple people try to use the same resources, and there is a limited amount of those resources. When somebody uses more than he needs, he's directly harming the others. Now we have this problem in Bitcoin, where it's obvious in the mining. So the mining difficulty is rising, the rewards are halving, and so on. So this could end in two ways. Either way, at some point, mining will become so unprofitable that they will stop and make the network suitable to 51% attack, or the other, the price of Bitcoin will rise so high that it will simply become unusable for most of the purposes. There is a similar problem for Ethereum as well, but in the different view. So there you have a lot of platforms, ICOs, contracts being developed and used on Ethereum and making a lot of people a lot of profit. However, a small number of people is actually trying to contribute to that platform, contributing to Ethereum itself, to the future development. So, as we covered in the technology part before, we believe that Tolar hashnet is actually solving most of these problems, having responsible governance, and being future-proof. Also, since even if you have the best technology in the world, that's not enough if nobody is actually using it. So we already have some partnerships and working on much more, especially in the technology industry. Also, there is an SDK in development for a lot of different languages, making it possible even for small and big companies to easily use our platform as something that's underlying. And of course, there is a second thing. Somebody needs the network to be completely private. Then it's easily, as this is an open source, they can easily take the source, deploy it in their own closed network and put their solution on top of it. Now, we know that blockchain is the buzzword, but is it smart trying to put it into everything? Probably no. So before you decide if blockchain or the similar distributed ledger solutions are right for your project, you need to ask yourself a few questions. And if the answers are correct, then our platform is probably the correct one for you. Now, there are a lot of experiments, of course, but some of these verticals are shown to be like perfect match for each other. So, of course, we have the digital identity management, where it's important that a lot of nodes can verify quickly the information, but that it's really hard to fake or create new information. Then the Internet of Everything, or the subset of it, Internet of Things, where we need to have millions of devices using really small amounts of energy, but frequently exchanging the data with each another. The most obvious solution, the high-speed transaction systems, is something that even the Bitcoin maybe could do, but not at this speed we're aiming at now. And something that's maybe known to everybody in this room, the ICOs. At the current stage, when there is a popular ICO in Ethereum, whole network drops. For that hour, 4, 6, all the other transactions have to wait because the people are competing with the gas prices and so on, who will get faster into the ICO. So these are the concrete cases we were talking about. Telecoms, instant payments, SEPA instant credit transfer in Europe, and so on. And also the thing we heard at one of the panels before, a lot of these projects promise a lot but do not deliver anything. We had the platform preview in Zagreb at the end of June, where you could see it with 11 nodes and the real-world usage, try to pump the transactions. And we achieved around 100 to 130,000 transactions per second on average. And we'll keep showing the progress as we go along. Thank you, everybody. I'm Josip, and this was our project, Tolar.